Let me start today by thanking you all for being present. We're going to talk about the full-time MBA specifically today and about the transformation that is linked to your career by doing the full-time MBA at Maastricht School of Management. So to introduce myself, I'm Hermina and I work as the manager of the Enrollment and Career Services at MSM. But I also did my MBA at Maastricht School of Management. So I experienced it myself and I really enjoyed the MBA. And so it's always really nice for me to share my experiences with that. Also online today is my colleague Inka. Inka is from recruitment and she will be answering all your questions via the chat. I think it's working now. And because I just saw she put a message down in there. And then Inka also afterwards, if you have any questions regarding the MBA, you can follow up with her. We also have two alumni present today, and I would like them to introduce themselves. So maybe Amrapali, you can start, ladies first. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background, and then after your MBA, what are you doing now?
Okay. Thank you for putting me on the spot first. Okay, so here I go. So I am from India, originally from India, and I moved to the Netherlands in December 2020. And that was the time of COVID, lockdowns, and I came here only to do my MBA at MSM. So I have 16 years of work experience prior to starting my MBA, and I was working with companies like HSBC and then AT&T, and then I decided to take a break and do my MBA, and I think that was one of the best decisions of my life. So I completed my MBA, which was a one-year full-time MBA course, and post that, I started working. So I found a job in the Netherlands, and I'm currently working at Elsevier as a sales enablement manager, and that's about me.
Thank you, Amra. Clinton.
Hello, everybody. My name is Clinton. I come from the continent of Africa, way down south, South Africa. I started my career as a pharmaceutical sales rep back in South Africa. Also had about 10 years experience, and boom, came COVID. And we all thought, oh, shucks, what are we going to do? So I thought this was a great opportunity to come and study in the Netherlands. I'm very fortunate to speak the language called Afrikaans, which is similar to Dutch, which definitely makes things a little bit easier for me. Hence, that was a big reason to come to the Netherlands and to choose MSM. I also did the one-year full-time MBA with Amrapali. And after completion, searched and scoured the market for the ideal work that I wanted to do, and yeah, been very fortunate. I got a fantastic opportunity at a pharmaceutical company, guess, but I'm doing something completely else thanks to my MBA education. I'm currently involved with the sustainability of this pharmaceutical company within the Netherlands, and yeah, that's what I'm heading at the moment.
Thank you, Clinton. Thank you, Amrapali. So just to cover a little bit what we'll be talking about today, and I'll be asking Clinton and Amrapali throughout the webinar about the experiences, share a bit more their experiences with you. But we'll first just look a little bit about the general information about MSM, about the Netherlands, about Maastricht. We'll look a little bit about the market needs, because it's important to understand what the market needs are before you can understand how the MBA can actually help you with that. And then we'll look a little bit at where our alumni are, how the MBA can help you with your career growth before going through to the practical information. And then obviously, depending on time, we'll have some Q&A. But as I've mentioned before, throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, just post them in there. It might be that you've arrived a bit later and you missed something and you just want to check, or you didn't understand and maybe I went too fast. So don't hesitate to put those questions in the chat or in the Q&A, And like I said, my colleague Inka will be answering those. And then afterwards, if we still got time and some of the questions that would be useful for everyone or that we didn't get around to answering, we'll take the time to look at that. Okay, so let's start with a little introduction about MSM. We are one of the oldest business schools in the Netherlands. We were founded in 1952, which means that next year, our MBA we're going on to our 40th MBA next year, 40th year of MBA, which is pretty incredible. And we're very proud of this. We focus also just on topics related to management and business. So we have an MBA, we have a master in management, and then we have short courses, executive education, also focusing on these topics. So MSM is a really specialized business school focusing on business administration and management. We're also, we've got the Triple Crown accreditation. So from a degree perspective, your degree will be recognized worldwide. And in the universal rankings last year, we were still ranked number 9 in the whole of Western Europe. What's also more interesting, we personally find, is the fact that MSM is extremely diverse. And since 2018, so in the last 5 years, we've had more than 90 nationalities doing our MBA or Master in Management, which shows how extremely diverse our programs are. What also makes MSM a bit more unique, and I'll show that just now on the map, and I'll ask then our alumni to talk about the experience, but is that MSM is really on 3 border location. We are in between Belgium, Germany, and obviously in the Netherlands. And then from a teaching perspective, and we'll look at this in much more detail later, but really have a case-based learning approach where you learn by doing. We have focus on sustainability a lot, trying to get our students more aware about sustainability. We have a very global, extensive network, and we try to create a very personalized learning experience also through the career and personal development track. And then obviously for the full-time MBA, there's also an expertise track, so you can make your degree a bit more specialized. Now, talking about the Netherlands specifically, people often ask me why the Netherlands, why come study in the Netherlands? And some of the main reasons is firstly that it is very central. So when you zoom out on the map, Maastricht is actually in the heart of Western Europe. So fun fact for the day, but Maastricht actually was where the European Union was created. It's where they signed the treaty because of its location, centralized location. The Dutch speak fluent English, and that also helps for communication locally. From an education perspective, the Netherlands is one of the top 5 education systems in the world, but it's still quite reasonably priced in comparison to some of those other top countries, which makes it more interesting from a value for money perspective. And the Dutch themselves are also quite famous for having a very flat hierarchy, for being quite open-minded and direct, for being innovative, entrepreneurial, and focused on sustainability. So if those are the type of things you're looking for, then the Netherlands is quite a good country to consider. Also very interesting is after your studies, if you've done a 1-year program in the Netherlands, you're allowed to stay for a whole year afterwards to look for a job. And then also the Netherlands is famous for its work-life balance. And because of that, it's one of the happiest nations in the world. Now, Amrapali, I have a question for you regarding this, because Clinton already mentioned that he was fortunate to speak Afrikaans, which is similar to Dutch. So the language was less of an issue. But for you, I assume you did not speak Dutch before you came.
I actually took a Dutch course before coming here, so I wasn't fluent. Okay. I took like A1 certification, so just good enough to strike like, an icebreaker conversation, which actually worked in my favor. It helps to build rapport with the Dutch people, and it always helps. However, my Dutch is not at all fluent, So it's English that I'm surviving on. So, and everybody speaks English, and my Dutch is so bad that when I start speaking in Dutch with a native, they start to respond to me in English, in a very fluent English. So yeah, that's how it is. So I did not require to attain fluency in the language. So it just.
And in the job process, obviously, I know that means that certain jobs aren't available because you don't speak the language. But was it a huge barrier, or was it okay?
Well, Hermina, I would say that it is very specific to my use case. And it, for me, the kind of jobs that I was looking out for, it did not require fluency in Dutch language. Also, I majorly applied for all the multinational companies. When it comes to startups, those are very centric to the Dutch environment and fluency is required. However, I actually applied for the multinationals where there was more flexibility around the language. So it was, I could do with English.
Yeah, perfect. And for you, did you did you need to use your orientation year, or were you able to get a work permit immediately?
I used my orientation year completely. So my work visa is in process now because its orientation year expires on 14th March. So I didn't get it immediately. So I had to use the entire orientation.
Yeah. And how did it work? Was it an easy process to get?
Well, you know what, it again is very specific to your performance and how you are able to adapt to the work culture. So the work that I opted for, I have some experience from the past, so I could build on it. And MBA definitely helped me to enrich the knowledge that I already had. So I could deliver good performance in the first year, and it was also based on the performance that your visa will be extended. So yes, it all worked in my favor, and I'm here.
Perfect. And Clinton, you also used your orientation year permit, right?
Yes, after the completion of your studies, your student visa expires. And I think that's one of the great things about the Netherlands, which is so attractive, is that they give you this orientation year permit. That's something that I used. I applied for it. If I remember correctly, it was about 200 euros. So it's not, or 160 euros. It's not too expensive. And the process was super fast. And that has allowed me to reside within the Netherlands for another 12 months and to be able to work without the need for any specific documentation or a specific visa. I was fully allowed to work at any company. And that has actually allowed me to find a job where I'm currently, and the company has offered to offer a new visa.
Nice.
Without any further restrictions.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for explaining. Now we get to the Netherlands, to Maastricht, more specifically, because Maastricht, if you can see the arrow, it's right at the bottom of the Netherlands. As I've mentioned, it's squished in between Belgium and Germany. It's a beautiful city. I always say it's small enough to feel at home, but big enough to not get bored. But how about, instead of me listing all these things, how about you tell me what you liked about the Netherlands and Maastricht, and why you chose to come here? So I don't know, Amrapali, what was your reasons and experience about Maastricht and the Netherlands?
So I had a friend who was already living in the Netherlands before I came to the country, and I only heard good things from her. With regards to choosing MSM, that was a completely different story altogether. But Maastricht, I did not know much about it. But after coming here, I smile year to year when I talk about Maastricht. It's a beautiful city. It's in one of the, communications, I also mentioned it's like a fairy tale city. So you see the cobblestone streets, old buildings, and it's a very Roman architecture. So it's very beautiful. And something else that I like about Maastricht is that people are very warm and very welcoming. So you can strike a conversation when you're sitting in the train with a stranger, and you will receive a warm response. So the friendly people, beautiful city, it all makes it feel like home. And therefore, I'm still staying in Maastricht, by the way.
Good, nice. And Clinton, what about you? Because I know you recently had to move up to the north, but why Maastricht? Why the Netherlands?
Well, like you mentioned earlier, Maastricht is in the south of the Netherlands, which is based in the middle of the EU. So reaching Germany or Belgium, it's doable by bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recall how many times I've cycled to a city called Aachen in Germany to do some grocery shopping or to drink a beer in Belgium. You know, coming from Africa, you would think, oh, wow, that seems so far away. That is unattainable, but it is also accessible. I have to agree with what Amrapali mentioned. The countryside is absolutely beautiful in Maastricht. If I'm not mistaken, it's called like hill country.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the Netherlands is so flat. So it makes for the most beautiful scenic environment. And of course, everybody speaks English. It's a multinational, multi-cultural city with a lot of students, which makes the entire exercise so much more enriching.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I must agree. I also find Maastricht a really beautiful city. Now, just talking a little bit about the full-time MBA, just some background about the actual profile. Both, as you heard, Amrapali and Clinton have about 10 years work experience. The average is about 8, but it's between 8 and 10 years of working experience. The minimum working experience for an MBA is 3 years, and it ranges. We have students with all different work experiences, never too much work experience. There's not an age limit from a maximum age limit. So, you know, all ages are welcome as long as you have the 3 years post bachelor studies and experience. Also, all types of experience, bachelor studies are admitted, because we personally believe that management is everywhere. Business is everywhere. So it doesn't matter what you studied, you can still use those leadership and management skills in whatever environment, which also makes it that we have students in all types of different jobs after the MBA, because obviously they use their previous experience as well in many cases. So that is a little bit of the overview from the profile perspective. The MBA average age, I would say, is about between 32 and 35 years old, maybe even a bit older, depends on the year, but it just gives you an overview of the profile of the students. As mentioned, the MSM MBA is also very diverse. So we have students coming from all over the world, and we'll talk a little bit more about that just now. But first, I want to go a little bit more into the job market. The first thing I wanted to mention is that right now, the job market is actually looking quite good. So in comparison to even 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the job market is doing really well. There was a huge peak after COVID, and that's still ongoing, slightly down in December, but that's normal because of holiday period. But also there is a little bit of unrest, obviously, with all the energy prices. And so there's a slight stabilization, but it's still in general looking like a really good job market at the moment. Obviously depends on which industry you're in, because that always fluctuates as well. But in overall, 2023 looks to be quite promising. More specifically, though, I always like to look at what the companies are looking for when they want to hire students. And we make sure that we inform our students about the hard skills and the soft skills, so that when they are looking at what they're good at, that they can develop both sides. But at MSM, because we assume your hard skills we have already developed during your bachelor degree, so those are often the job-specific abilities. The MBA does have some hard skill courses, finance, economics, accounting, but a lot of the things we do also focuses on the soft skills, which is really that ability to just interact and connect with people. And so work skills like teamwork, communication, creativity, problem solving, communication. Those are the type of things that we really try to encourage as a development during the MBA. And so just a slide I wanted to share about the importance of soft skills, because more and more studies are showing that employers are struggling to find the talent because of the soft skill that is more important than and more difficult to hire than the hard skills. And so also just looking at two of the important reports that come out every 2-3 years, LinkedIn and the Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum, that the top 3 soft skills that they expect to be important is complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. And all these 3 are also being encouraged during the MBA. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on, about how the MBA can help you with your critical thinking through the assignments, and how it can help you with your problem solving through the assignments and the teamworks and the thesis. Same thing with the creativity, looking for alternative solutions. And I also just want to highlight a little bit about the future of the skills. Firstly, something that I find quite interesting, because I have a child of 8 years old, but knowing that my child, chances are that 65% of those jobs of the children starting primary school now, those jobs don't exist yet. I find that absolutely incredible. And that a lot of the work in the future will be done by machines. Already now here in the Netherlands, there's a lot of automation going on. And so it is also important to start thinking about what can we as do to avoid the machines doing our jobs. And so because of that, there are 2 contradictory trends for the future. The first one, there will be some more technical jobs, obviously, to manage those computers and the machines. And then there's the jobs that are more human-centric, so the jobs where the soft skills are very important. And so these jobs, for example, are in sales and marketing, education and trainings, and business and financial management and engineering. So I really wanted to highlight that, because also from that perspective, looking at the future, having an MBA will help just be a bit more future-proof because of the focus on business management and financial management. So if you look at the MSM, specifically the MBA, and that's why I said this is where we're going to look more deeper into our actual programs. I first want to talk a little bit about the teaching approach, because we have a lot of case-based learning, simulations, company visits, things that will try to make sure that students will learn more than just when they read and write the coursework. Now, Clinton and Amrapali, I know both of you were had a very different year to our standard student experience, because you half or 3/4 of year nearly was in online. But I assume you also already had some simulation games in some of your courses. Was that incorporated?
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, let me go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
So, with regards to, how the online experience, when I heard about it, I wasn't very happy. So I was like, oh my God, I took a year's break and this is how it's going to be. I will be sitting just in front of my laptop. But, there was, I would say that it was a very enriching experience. Although we were only communicating via online, but there were group assignments that brought us together. So we had 20 different nationalities in the class. And how it helps is everyone has a different perspective. And when we were put together for group assignments, it was a lot of brainstorming. And you cannot believe how many different ways exist in the world to solve one single problem. Exchange of ideas, learning from each other, learning from the cultural differences, kind of completely enhanced the experience, and it also got us together. So it just did not feel like we were disconnected or online was a barrier to forming bonds. So that's something about my MBA experience that I really appreciate. It really got us together. And Clinton was in one of the peer group that I Hermina, I think you were going to talk about it, but I just wanted to highlight that we actually became like a family. So there have been times where I have called Clinton for maybe before all my assignment submissions, before my thesis, because I was going through a breakdown. So we became a family, and that is one of the most enriching experiences that I draw from my MBA.
Yeah, thanks, Amrapali. Clinton, anything to add?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, circumstances didn't allow our MBA cohort to go on all these nice field trips. But when it was allowed, MSM really stood up and tried to make inroads for those opportunities that we missed. One example that I could give is a corporate week, where we as students went to our class, which was something new, but there were also many companies to come and present what it is that they do and what opportunities they have within their company. Seeing that you're progressing through your studies and you're already starting to think about what am I going to do after graduation, the timeliness of all these activities were really spot on. Something else that worked for me, seeing that we were a little bit secluded, we were all assigned a mentor. There was a mentorship program through MSM, where a specific person aligned to your background and industry knowledge was best fitted. And through that, I found a lot of help, not just with the modules and learning, but also in adapting or getting my head around what it is that's going to await for me in the professional environment after MSM.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we'll talk about the mentorship slightly briefly, but I'm glad you already brought it up, because I think Amrapali also will have a lot to say about that just now. So talking about the full-time MBA, the first thing I want to say is it's generally called a pressure cooker, because the full-time MBA, it's on campus in Maastricht, and it's 1 year. And in that 1 year, it's pretty crazy, right? Amrapali, how was your 1 year experience?
Well, I would tell everyone on the call, do not underestimate when we say that it's a pressure cooker. It definitely is, and sometimes more. So, you need a strong support system, is what I would say. And the personal touch that we get in MSM, like I always keep reiterating the fact that we are family. And that personal touch helped us go through the entire phase. So it's important to have your close inner circle, your friends and family around.
Yeah. And Clinton, from your perspective, how was the pressure cooker experience?
Pressure cooker is I think that's a most apt description. Of course, you still have a social life, but I think we are all adults, and embarking on an MBA is not an easy and light decision that anybody takes. So you have to be fully aware of that it takes commitment and discipline to complete each module as best as you can, and to take the learnings from it that you can, whilst not forgetting that you're still you're in a new environment, you're in a new country, and you want to explore it. So I think that's also where a lot of growth comes in that you don't really notice, is how to really I don't want to say perfect, but learn how to manage your time more effectively, also whilst still enjoying life, going out for a beer, going out for a movie, meeting up with your new friends when you can, sitting at the river and just looking at the sunset during summer.
Yes, I know that one of the alumni also recently told me that because of the pressure cooker experience, after that, nothing seemed as stressful again.
I think that's a good explanation. Once you've completed your thesis, you've completed your defense, and you've graduated, all of a sudden you've got an additional 24 hours in your day.
Yeah,
I would say I can't agree more, Clinton, when you say that. Once you submit your thesis, it feels like, oh my God, I'm liberated. It's such an experience.
Yeah. Now, talking about that cycle of classwork, I just want to highlight once again how the program actually works. So you normally have per 2 weeks, you have a new module. So the first week, for example, you'd have marketing in class. And then the next week, you would work on those assignments, the group and individual assignments. In between, you might have some career workshops or some social activities. But then at the end of that second week, you submit your marketing assignment. And then the Monday thereafter, you come to class and you start a new course, let's say supply chain. And that also would be 1 week in class of supply chain course, and then 1 week of working on those assignments, submitting it at the end of that week, and then moving on to your next course. So it's a pretty routine approach to getting all the courses done. And then throughout the year, you have the social activities, the student competitions, the mentorship, and the career services that both Amrapali and Clinton already mentioned. Talking about the curriculum itself, because I already highlighted some of the skills that the companies are looking for, but also from a just MSM's personal values, what's important for us. When we look at sustainability, entrepreneurship, and innovation, and then this technological revolution that the world's going through, those are sort of like our key pillars. And because of that, we've also incorporated courses that we feel will help students to future-proof their career, both from these perspectives and from obviously the market needs. As you can see, there's a digital transformation and decision-making tools that's already incorporated. You have your entrepreneurship courses, you have corporate responsibility and ethics, and you have the managing cultural diversity, all included in the core curriculum of your program. Also, obviously, as I've mentioned, you have all those courses that focus more on the hard skills like the finance, the accounting, the marketing, the supply chain, economics, strategy. But then you also have the soft skills like leadership, change management, strategy, to be able to help you a bit more from that management perspective. At MSM, we also have an expertise track. Now, this expertise track, or formerly known as the specialization, is a moment where our students will choose one of the topics, so entrepreneurship, international business and sustainable development, accounting and finance, digital economy, or supply chain. And then they will have 4 additional courses in that specific specialization theme or expertise track that they've chosen. And then it happens at MSM for 2 weeks, together with our online MBA students, executive MBA students, and our global MBA students coming from our partner schools all around the world. Now, Amrapali, I think you did the digital economy one, right? You're on mute.
Yes, I did digital economy.
Yes. So do you want to tell me a little bit about how that worked? Who was in your class? What did you do?
So with the specialization courses, you get the executive MBA, full-time MBA come together. So that was a different experience as well, because the executive MBA students are the ones who are already doing the work. So they are already in working as well as studying. So their insights also added to the knowledge that we attained during the entire course. So that's something that I would add here. What digital economy did was gave a 360-degree view of how things operate in the business world. And that is what I will say I carried from that course. So it's not like you get a niche skill that you will attain and then you become like a digital marketeer. So what it would do is instead give you a 360-degree view. So you have, when you are in a decision-making role or when you're doing your job, you are able to think about the work from several different perspectives. And so it gives you a more comprehensive view of when you're doing a job, how exactly you can proceed further. So when, because I am working in sales and marketing now, I know how, because one of digital marketing, big data, all of these were part of the course. It really enhanced the way I think and operate now. So I'm using most of the skills at work and it helps me a lot. So yeah, so that's what it did. Gave me a 360-degree view.
Yeah. Now, Clinton, if I remember, we talked about this briefly before the webinar. You pushed yourself outside your comfort zone and went for something completely different.
That's right. I have an academic background in marketing, and a professional career in sales, and I ended up choosing accounting and finance. How that doesn't link, but after consulting with some people who advised me on this decision, because you had to make a decision on what your specialization or expertise track will be, I figured that it might be a good opportunity to enhance my basic skills and knowledge and venture into an area where I've got absolutely a very limited background or practical experience in. So I chose the finance and accounting, which was a little bit of a shock to the system. It was 2 weeks of quite intensive theoretical, how can I say this, information. It's a lot to digest, but I think the way that it was set, the whole program is set out, is you have 2 weeks, we have these 4 pillars of modules, and then I think, if I recall correctly, we had 3 or 4 weeks after the completion of the practical or theoretical classes to submit our assignments. So in total, it's not a lot of time, 6 weeks, to grasp your head around the topics and the information that was presented, which might be absolutely new to one, but it is still enough time to delve in and to really do your own research and uncover the subject that you selected and to grow yourself in it.
Yeah, great, thanks. Also important with the MBA, it's a 70 credit program, and included in that as well is, of course, the academic, well, the thesis. And the thesis can exist in 3 formats: the academic research paper, the consulting project, or a business plan. Now, I think if I understood correctly, Amrapali, you did the consulting project, and Clinton, you did the academic research. Amrapali, do you want to tell us a little bit about your consulting project? How did that?
So, Hermina, my thesis has been like a lifetime experience. So I have 16 years of work experience, like I mentioned. So I got back to school after having 16 years of career, and I had 0 discipline of the student's life. So, getting back to the track, trying to think about, how I will get into the discipline, it was all, it was overwhelming. I had no idea what the thesis would be like when I started it back in, because this is orientation for a thesis will happen right at the beginning of your MBA. So I had no idea what exactly it's going to be. But what I would say is, as we went through the course, my thesis developed over a period of 1 year. So it was a 1-year journey that I had with my thesis. And I still remember when I submitted that there is a proposal that you submit for your thesis, which was it's 1-pager. When I submitted that, I had a very simplistic view of what I'm going to do. And when I looked at my thesis, when I submitted it, it evolved 1,000-fold. So every course, every module that we went through added something to the development of my thesis. And like Hermina, you mentioned that we have a good combination of soft skills and hard skills that we attained during the entire MBA. The consultancy project is something like it's a real life project. And, you are in contact with the company who you will be working with to understand the problem areas, trying to solve it, and then put the proposal together. So I worked with an NGO in the Netherlands. In order to do my research, I had to interview people in the decision-making role in the Netherlands, and I had no network. So the way my skills developed over a period of time, I got the confidence of how I can reach out to people, develop my network, expand it, and I interviewed people from the C-suite level. And that was like a major development that I could see for myself. And so my consultancy thesis, like I said, it was with regards to an NGO. I am still in touch with them. And I often, have, like, whenever they organize any events, I am actively participating there as well. So this project did not only give me the hard skills knowledge, but it also helped me to develop more understanding and awareness of Dutch culture and how to interact with people. So it was one of the experiences that I really cherish.
Nice. Thanks, Amrapali. Clinton, actually, I wanted to ask you something, and I just realized I should have asked it when we were talking about this, the courses. But you mentioned in the beginning that you still working in the pharmaceutical industry, but you totally changed directions. You're now working in a more sustainability related field, right? What courses helped you to switch like that, to go into a totally new direction?
Well, one of the courses that one of the modules that we had was corporate social responsibility. And to me, it was, I personally, in the beginning of the course, I thought, what is this going to be? I've never been really a sustainable orientated person. But throughout the duration of the module, something clicked in my head, and yeah, fortunately, there was a lot of my peers who were in the sustainability environment within their previous careers. And it's something that I actually really picked up, and yeah, it helped me to apply for specific jobs after the course again, and to really have a narrow focus on what it is exactly that I wanted to do. And yeah, very fortunate to be lucky one of them.
Great. And your thesis, was it related to sustainability or totally different topic?
No, so I didn't want to mention it, but now the opportunity is there. As I embarked on an MBA, I was under the impression that I want to make a career change. And I embarked on doing some research in the beer industry, as I wanted to venture into the beer industry away from pharmaceutical sales. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what to say, but it was a COVID period, so it was quite difficult to do a consultancy project like Amrapali did. I think because of the restrictions that we had in terms of not just reaching out, but getting to meet up with breweries myself, I had to revert back to academic research paper. And yeah, so I decided to do it on beer. Was very, very informative for myself. I learned a lot of critical things within the Dutch market with regarding to beer, but it has not had a link with my eventual role where I am today, although that was the intention.
Good, but that's clear then. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Cool.
After the thesis, obviously, students start looking for jobs, but something I wanted to highlight a little bit more about the program itself is that per course, you'll always have at least one individual assignment, and then in most of the courses, there are also group assignments. And once again, working on the teamwork, the communication skill, influencing skills, critical thinking, creativity, these are the type of things that really come to the fore in those group assignments. We've moved away from exams. So it's only in one or two very specific courses there's still exams, but for the rest, there's always the individual assignment that replaces the exam. And the individual assignment is really focused on context-related assignments. So you apply your theory, you go deeper into your knowledge, you go find out more information about the topic. So it's really an opportunity to improve also that self-learning skill, which is also a very important skill in today's environment. Also, you will get an opportunity to work as an internal company, a consultant for when you're doing a project like Amrapali did for her thesis, where you get to work as that, consultant experience of looking at making recommendations. Now, we've also talked about the diversity and how much that is valuable in the cohort. Amrapali mentioned the family experience. That really, I think, is a perfect way to describe the MBA experience, because you go through so much together as a group that it's not possible to finish any other way than a family. And I know that we also try to encourage that students, we meet up again. So wherever we travel abroad, we try and meet up with alumni, or also locally, we regularly have student alumni events to be able to reconnect with one another. But for us, this is really one of the truly unique opportunities that we can offer, is this extremely diverse program. And as mentioned, on the average is about 20 different nationalities. Some years we've got 23, some years we've got 19, but it's always students coming from all over the world to bring in those new perspectives, which helps add to that creativity and awareness and flexibility that's so important in the job market. Also, obviously very interesting is that our professors come from all over the world as well. They are very approachable. You can just walk in and ask them questions in their office. There's very mixed experiences coming from all over the world. Some are more focused on academic knowledge, some are the more working knowledge, the consulting experience. And so students really get a very diverse experience from the professor's side. I don't know, Amrapali, if you've got anything to add from the professor's experience.
Hermina, I would say that it's such a good mix of, academic and real life consultants that it enriches your studies as well. So you get the perspective of how things are working in the real life, and that really adds value. And like I keep reiterating, it feels like family. So there's never been an instance where you reach out to your professor and haven't got a personal touch in the interaction. So I would, this is one of the modules that I fondly remember is with the decision-making tool. It's a statistics, which always scared me. But the way Khalid made that, put together the entire course, it felt like, he was one of us. So he just understood our pain points and was there to help us through each and every step. And that was one course where I scored the highest. And not that I only scored the highest, I carry that knowledge till date. And because we live in the data-driven world, that information is so critical that even in the projects that I'm doing, we're currently working now, I'm using that knowledge to put together the reports. So yeah, something that I fondly remember that I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you. And Clinton, from your experience, if you look back at that course, which course was something you didn't expect to like and then ended up being very surprising and enjoyable?
First of all, I just wanted to make a comment on the professors that are part of the group. Like you mentioned, all are very open and approachable, which gives me and my fellow students the ease of mind that you can ask silly questions, because this is a learning environment and nothing bad will be thought about you or nothing like that. It's really a blessing to have the ability to approach the lecturers and the professors with any question. And for me personally, what module, I would say again, like Amrapali mentioned, decision-making tools. I mean, the word decision-making, am I going to choose this one or this one? A or B? Meantime, it was so interesting, so relevant, and it carries such a big weight for your thesis at the end of the day, because you have to incorporate a statistical tool.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. When we look at the extras, just from a timing perspective, I'll just run through them briefly because you haven't both mentioned them. But there is, we have a week or a few courses where you do extra, where you get some insights into agile planning, Scrum, Kanban. But then also there's this mentorship program that both Clinton and Amrapali referred to, where you're paired with someone from the region in your field of interest that can really help you grow and develop. We've got a career service department, and we try also as an extracurricular experience to provide you with workshops on skill development, career skill development, personal development, and social development. So we really try and give you those extra knowledge to develop those skills to make you more interesting for the job market. And additionally, we have then that individual support where we help you prepare for CVs, to apply for a job or to do a mock interview with you. Clinton already referred to the corporate week, where we invite companies to come and talk to you about all these things. So there's a lot of opportunities with the career and personal development track as well to just open up your awareness to what's available in the Netherlands. We also do some student challenges where students work with companies on student competitions, and they go and present them in a pitch format to get that experience. And it's also a very nice way to get a feel for the issues in companies and how your studies can actually help you in solving these issues. So just to summarize what we've talked about today, was that obviously from a curriculum perspective, the specialization, all of these topics are focused on what the market needs at the moment to try and prepare you as much as possible. The hands-on learning experience will really help with the solving problem skills and the creativity. The individual assignments develops your critical thinking and your active learning. The group assignments we mentioned really is with the multicultural awareness, the teamwork, the communication skills. We work on your soft skills and self-awareness throughout the year through the career and personal development track and through these courses. Every class nearly has presentations, so you're constantly working on those communication skills. The classroom we mentioned is extremely international, so it really helps with people management from all different cultures around the world. We've mentioned the pressure cooker, which is really helping with the time and stress management, and then the career and personal development track, which is more practical and hands-on on getting a feel for the job market. So just very briefly, just some of the questions I often get about where students end up after their studies. So the first one is everywhere. But we have noticed the trend that more and more MBA students after their studies want to stay in the Netherlands or in European Union. And so that's actually really increased from about 5 years ago. About 50% of the students were looking for jobs in the Netherlands, and that's moved up to about nearly 80% that find jobs here. And the rest either go home or go internationally and go to different countries. Other fact is that most of the students end up getting a job at least the same level or better than after their studies. And most students also have a salary increase. However, I don't want to focus too much on that because once again, we have students coming from all over the world. So when you come from a country where the salary is much lower, it obviously makes sense that in Europe, the salary is much higher. So that's, for me, less important than the fact that people get what they are looking for after their studies. Also important is that the type of companies these students work in, often I get that question, and all different types of companies, because once again, it depends on your background and your interests after your studies. So you get students that completely change directions, and you get students that develop in that direction. Like Clinton mentioned, he stayed in pharmaceuticals but changed directions. So all of these are possible after your studies. And then finally, just another example of the career growth is that we've noticed that students get nice jobs after their studies, but you really start seeing that MBA benefits after about 2 years when you've had the time to prove yourself in the Netherlands. And that's where you notice very regularly, nearly all our students have a career progression after 2 years, moving up to a manager or even higher position. Finally, just some practical information. The first one, the price, because I know Inka has answered a lot of these questions in the chat. But the MBA is for 2023 and 2024 is that intake will be 28,500. But scholarships are available that can be maximized to a discount of 40% maximum. And there are other scholarships available that you can apply for. And one of them is automatic, depending on where you come from, is the Dean's Development Fund. So if you have got any questions about the scholarships, don't hesitate to ask. For the practical information, you can apply via our application portal, campus.msm.nl, and there are then all the things you need to upload. They're very important is to write a personalized motivation letter, There's the application fee that you need to pay, and then you'll be invited for an interview. If the interview goes well and if all the items that you uploaded were fine, then you'll be admitted. And once you're admitted, you either need to complete the MSM leveling courses or complete a GMAT or GRE with the sufficient scores. If you want to have any more information regarding all of this, you can obviously contact Inka or Alina, our recruiters, or our admissions office directly. You can also chat with some of our students online. So we have a page where you can actually reach out to our alumni and ask them questions about their experiences like Amrapali and Clinton gave today. We also have a lot of videos of past webinars and obviously other topics that you can find online. And then you can check out our blogs and the news events to see where we are and where we'll be going. So if you've got any questions, you can always just reach out to us about that. Now, that was just very quickly. I see it's 4 o'clock, and I know some of you might need to leave, so don't hesitate to do that. But just to summarize before we go into the question side, Amrapali, from your side, if you look back at MSM in a nutshell, what really stood out for you from what you learned, and how's that helped you in your career?
Well, I would say that I had a knowledge base, and what my MBA did was build up on the knowledge base that I already had. So I was working in account-based sales and marketing, and now I'm a sales enablement manager. So I can clearly see the difference in how I think now. Because like I mentioned, MBA gives you a 360-degree view of how business works. So when I am working on a certain project, I'm not only concentrating on what are my deliverables for this project, I'm trying to think about it from several perspectives. And that kind of has enhanced my creativity. And I know who I can reach out to, what kind of information I can add to enhance the quality of work that I do. And with regards to soft skills, I just wanted to quote an anecdote. You know how you, as part of CDPT, how you helped me put together my CV. Like I had a very simplistic view when I put together my hobbies. So I put reading and listening to music. And you were like, it's so cliche. So what else do you like? And I'm like, I like listening to TED Talks and reading. I like Harry Potter. So, and I would not want to put it there, but then you asked me to put it on my resume, and you wouldn't believe that my interview questions revolved around my hobbies. So I was asked about the TED Talks, the ones that I love to listen to. So I was asked about, Harry Potter, because it reflects my, imagination and power of creativity. And these are not the aspects that I was looking into when I was before MBA. So now I have a different mindset altogether. So I would say that MBA definitely enhanced my way of thinking.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks, Amrapali. And Clinton, what about you?
Definitely now I feel confident to sit in any conversation, and I can participate whenever somebody's talking about any function of a business, because I've got that academic knowledge, and I've worked through an MBA program that covers all these facets. Yes, you might not be an expert on them, but at least you can talk with, have a conversation about it, and even provide good creative ideas to solve problems.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you very much, Clinton and Amrapali. I would like to know, Inka, from your side, are there any questions that we need to cover still?
Thank you, Hermina. Yes, I kept a few nice questions for the end. Number one is with regards to the requirements. Could you explain if the GMAT and an IELTS or TOEFL is required?
Okay, so from an English perspective, there are a few English-speaking countries that are exempt from any form of tests. Some countries where if you studied in English, it might be that we ask you to do a Duolingo test just as an additional support, but then you don't need to do an IELTS or a TOEFL. The Duolingo is sufficient. and it's a bit easier, it's more accessible than the IELTS or the TOEFL. If you did not study in English, or if you're not from an English-speaking country, however, then you will need to do an IELTS or a TOEFL test. For the GMAT, as I mentioned, but I know we went very quickly through that part, it's at the end, so after you've already been admitted conditionally into the program, you have the option to either do leveling courses, so it's 4 courses that you do to prepare yourself for the MBA. It's like foundational courses in accounting, economics, finance, and statistics. Or you can choose to do a GMAT. The advantage of a GMAT is it's valid for different business schools, while the leveling courses is only for MSM. So that's just to summarize that.
Thank you, Hermina. And in what way is entrepreneurship included in the MBA program?
That's a very good question. Obviously, you have it as a course. You can also do it as a specialization. Unfortunately, neither Clinton or Amrapali did it as a specialization. But maybe you can talk about how the course was for you from an entrepreneurship perspective, Amrapali.
So I would say that there are different kind of tools that was introduced during the entrepreneurship course, and it were so David is like, you know, he has a very distinctive personality. If you have no knowledge about entrepreneurship, he will make you develop that interest to a different level, like you will be on steroids. It's like so excitedly talking about it. So the entire course taught us a lot of different tools, which helps us to analyze the business world. Like if you are like, you know, if I want to start a business, what are the different aspects that I will be looking at? So the business model canvas, how are the 9 different aspects working, and what contributes majorly your business model canvas. That kind of, you know, like Hermina, I was telling you that I'm using some of the tools even today. That kind of help. So these are the things that you will learn during the course, which you can use in your day-to-day work. So it adds a lot of value.
Yeah. And then obviously, as mentioned, there's also a specialization expertise track in that, where you get 4 extra courses in that. And I know there are a lot of students that have an entrepreneurial background. So having those classmates that also have that experience, that can also help with the entrepreneurial spirit. Additionally, we do some student competitions that are a bit linked to being entrepreneurial. I think, Clinton, you took part in both of you actually took part in the Sustainable Development, the SDG competition, right?
No, I didn't take part in that, but there was like few activities that I was just volunteering and being part of.
Yeah. And so with the SDG competition, it's also about looking at the company in a new way and trying to provide them with alternative ways of thinking. And so it's like that combination of entrepreneurial spirit and consulting. So hopefully that answers that question, Inka.
Yes, Hermina, I just wanted to add one thing here, that, you know, with regards to the entrepreneurship, the assignments that we get, it's not like theoretical. It's something that you have, it's real life situation.
Yeah.
So you get to interview the entrepreneurs and put together the ideas to put, you know, you can propose your own business plan. And that is something which puts your mind into thinking. And that's when it helps you develop your skills. So I'd say that is a brilliant way of learning as well.
Thank you. I agree. I also did that course, and I remember the assignments. It was one of the biggest assignments. It's like a lot of reading material, but it's also one of the courses I learned the most from.
Just 2 more questions left, Hermina. One is regarding what are the opportunities for internships, networking, and career placement?
Okay. Throughout the year, we do the career and personal development track, where we try and encourage students to understand the job market better and get a better feel for what is available. Doing an internship during your studies is very difficult because it's such an intense year. I know we have students that do it, but it's something that's on a case-by-case basis, and it's not something we recommend unless you are one of those superhumans that manage your time in a way that I don't know how you do it. But after your studies, because of the orientation year permit, you can do internships, and quite a lot of students use that opportunity to explore alternative things, you know, as an after their studies. From a career and personal development track perspective, because we didn't talk a lot about that, but I know Amrapali and Clinton, you both took part in that. Maybe you can explain a little bit more. Well, Clinton, I don't know if you want to say something about what you learned from the career and personal development track.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. If I can just reflect back on immediate needs that came out was how to prepare your resume for the Dutch market. I think Amra made a reference to that earlier on. That was something that helped tremendously. And also the program that you have where you offer one-on-one sessions with each student on multiple occasions, where you can conduct a mock interview, guiding us on how to apply for a specific job that you're interested, how to apply and correctly in order to stand out. Yeah, I think also how should I say, how to voice how you are the right person for.
Yeah. What about you, Amrapali? What stood out for you from that experience?
The resume thing that I've spoken about, I can't talk enough about it. So that really helps to elevate my CV for the ATS system as well. And also, Hermina, I would give a lot of credit to the mentorship program, because Manon did a very good job in understanding what are the students' career aspirations, and she connected you to the right mentor who could help you like throughout the MBA journey. That person was working alongside. So I am still in touch with my mentor, and she was the director of sales and marketing. So she helped me expand my network in the Netherlands. And also, you know, the thing is that MSM provides all necessary tools. It's also your willingness, your zeal to derive the maximum out of it. So if you are able to do that, that's when you get the benefits. But if you're not active enough and you don't show the willingness, so it will, you know, just slide off. So yeah, for me, it was like an opportunity. I learned a lot from her, and that is one of the reasons why I could expand my network in the Netherlands. So I give a lot of credit to that mentorship program.
Thank you, Amrapali. Inka?
Thank you, Hermina. I think that's it from all the questions. The rest I answered in the chat and the live Q&A. My email address is also mentioned in the chat, so if there are any questions still coming up, those of you that like to know, just send me an email.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much to everyone that participated. A very big thank you to Amrapali and Clinton, because I know it's always much nicer to hear your experience than me just blabbing on. Thank you to everyone that joined today for all the questions. Thank you, Inka, for having been so active and answering everything. As mentioned, please, after this webinar, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always contact Inka or myself via email or our admissions office if you have any additional questions. And then you can also obviously connect with our alumni or students via the chat. And like that, if you want to go further with this adventure, then we are there to help you, because we know it's a big decision. So thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.